Hi, today I want to talk about fluency. Fluency is defined as being the rate, prosody, and accuracy, and this is typically measured orally with a child reading. Now, rate is pretty easy to interpret. It's the speed at which a child reads. And according to Science of Teaching Reading instructional approaches, the child should be pressed to read faster and faster until they reach a level of accuracy or prosody where their speech sounds normal. So when a child has very stilted speech, when they're reading, when they're decoding, reading text, and you can hear them, if they're still at the decoding stage, if they're kind of slowly chopping up words, they haven't achieved fluency. Now, fluency can be corrected. The instructional strategy to correct fluency is repeated reading. And typically, you want to do repeated readings with a text that the child is comfortable with. This could be independent level text instead of instructional text, because you want the child to read something that's easy, because you're not going for comprehension here. You're going for speed, accuracy, and prosody. And so repeated reading is typically the correct remediation for improving fluency. Now, prosody is the musical tone of what the child is saying. So it could be as simple as being able to correctly say the birthday song or sing the birthday song, right? Everybody knows how to sing the birthday song, or some common nursery rhyme like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star should be very memorable for a child, and they should pick up on that. If they don't understand that pattern, and that there could be a sign of something else. So prosody is kind of like the musical quality, but there's also a musical quality in expression. So in other words, we're expected to say things a certain way so that they sound correctly. And so prosody also reflects a kind of like the melody, the tone that we're doing that. And one of the instructional approaches related to fluency is called phrasing. So phrasing is when you chunk speech, when you actually, instead of the child decoding and reading one word at a time to gain fluency, you try to get them to read a block of words, right? And so that way, instead of reading the cat in the hat, they read a phrase, the cat in the hat, right? And so you want to be able to cue them to read a chunk, right? And second is the third component is accuracy. That's correct pronunciation. So being able to pronounce things correctly. It's very interesting because according to Science of Teaching Reading research, especially in relation to phonics, English language learners have better pronunciation of English when they go through a phonics curriculum, because they kind of get a level of precision in pronouncing certain words. Now, in terms of assessment, fluency is measured 1 minute at a time. So this is new Science of Teaching Reading criteria, and you may get a question about this. So in the Science of Teaching Reading exam, you may get a question related to, how long should you test for fluency? 1 minute. That's all you need to know for understanding kind of like the rate, like how fast the child is reading, and you count, of course, the number of words that they read. And if they need to improve, you would do this 2 or 3 times a week with their favorite book, and you would keep track of this on a chart. And they should improve. So with time, right, you read 2 or 3 fluency passages 2 or 3 times a week for 1 minute only, which is pretty easy to do. And you should see kind of like an upward curve in terms of their speed. And you always want to cue children, right, to read a bit faster than what they're used to, because they're kind of trying to gain a certain rate. And so Fluency is not to be confused with comprehension. I've heard some interpretations of fluency that it's a reflection of comprehension. I mean, in a sense, that's true because you have to understand what you're reading to be fluent in it, so it helps. But fluency and comprehension are two separate things. There are examples of children who can read fluently, who can decode a passage fluently and read with correct rate and expression, but not understand what they're reading. So fluency is not necessarily reflective of comprehension, but you may run across some interpretations that associate comprehension with fluency. So I've given you kind of like an interpretation of fluency that's consistent with what I've seen in the Science of Teaching Reading curriculum. So I hope this helps you prepare for the exam.